I will be on Monday, as will Obi and I. Adara and I and Obi will see you guys on Monday, same bat time, same bat channel. Right now, with the big desk.
Hey guys, welcome in. Yeah, 2 o'clock on a Friday. What a day we have had. What a reversal we have had. Right back to the upside, right across the board for tech, specifically the NASDAQ, specifically S&P 500, almost begrudgingly being dragged along with the overall market. But wow, pretty impressive. If you missed it, to kick things off this morning, this was the numbers we got. 336,000 jobs created in September versus 170,000 forecast. So just an absolute monster upside print that comes off of a revision to the prior number as well, to the upside also to 227, up from 187. So a huge revision upwards for August. Meanwhile, September just absolutely blowing away expectations. That's the US dollar right now. Remember this morning we had a test of the week highs essentially. Going right back to 107, Ramin, thank you. Going right back to 107 initially on the number here, testing these highs, but now red on the day and then some, along with yields as well. Again, this is the US dollar. Yields downside now right across the board, the 2, the 10, and the 30-year, all in negative territory on the day. A very green S&P 500 to show you at this point. The only laggards here really. Energy names, XOM, CVX downside. There's McDonald's as well, obviously not an energy name, 1.4. On that weight loss drug note I saw. I was reading today some negativity, and I mean there's some catalyst behind this to the downside possibly. Retailers or apparel makers and fast food names possibly under pressure as these weight loss drugs take more and more precedence here. Pfizer, 0.73, there's another one. To the downside. But look at the positivity right across the board. Walmart, Costco, both getting hit. Some of the durable goods names as well in negative territory. But this is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, Meta, Microsoft, Google, NVIDIA, Apple, AVGO, even AMD with 2+% kind of a day. Any day you get the board looking like that with those names specifically having those kind of returns, that's what the NASDAQ looks like on a 15-minute chart. Just an absolute V-bottom off 355. Straight through to 365, about to come into play here. Again, the Qs, just absolutely impressive all day long after that absolutely crushing, or what we thought might be crushing, employment number this morning. If you missed it, yeah, unfortunately, we had to reschedule with Peter Schiff. He is going to come through one day next week. Obviously, with what happened this morning, he's in high demand, to say the least, today. So shout out to our friend Peter Schiff, going to come through next week. What a day, guys.
What a day. I think the crazy thing is you ceased being able to call it a V-shaped move about 200 points ago or 150 points ago, because that's just, it's a little something else. Like once you were past 14,900, 15,000, forget about it. It's with all the position board, by the way, still in midday. Yeah, I can't tell you that I'm still in any of the longs that I took, with the exception of Roblox and that VCNX off $1. So I've basically taken everything out that was to the long side, just because I didn't think we were going this far. I don't think a lot of people wouldn't have thought we were going this far. Even Rivian's up today, right? Like Rivian of all things. I was short Rivian this morning off of 18. Gave it up when it couldn't hold 18. It broke that 1850. Like it's up almost a full percent after being like the worst stock, and it crashed. And my chart crashed. That's being the worst stock. My 3 minutes still up, so it's okay. The worst stock easily yesterday that anybody actually cares about in his trading. But wow, like you couldn't fight it. Like you could buy every single dip. Said this during lunch money. Every single dip on Rivian. They weren't all easy, but they were all profitable. Like maybe there was one that you had trouble with early on. Like I'll say, like if you took this dip here and a view up at 10 o'clock, I can see ways in which that couldn't have worked out for you. But every other successive dip, maybe this one's not going to work out. But what an unreal day to spin. It's a rip your face off rally, BPQ, trade and be fit. You better believe it's a rip your face off rally. I'll take a fill, but as I said, the only thing I'm in right now is I'm still hanging on to the last 10% of my Roblox. Roblox, it's holding the line at the breakout price like really, really well here. So, the longer it holds on to this, great, but it's already pulled back quite a bit despite the fact markets are at the high. So I might just get out of this one and then work back to VWAP or something like that. But there's that and VCNX. Everything else I've given up the ghost at this point. And even AMC's up today. Like everything is going up unless you're Walmart, Costco, and Verizon today, Obi.
Yeah. We're straight greens, as you guys saw the map there, straight to the upside. We left you guys around this 14.9 area in the morning session, and I was in the back there talking to a couple of traders. We were just like, okay, well, the fact that we broke that 14.8 and then we broke that 14.9. We talked about a lot of the selling pressure being in trouble and where that trouble might begin, right on top of that 14.9. And we saw how that 14.8 kind of had that double top and then rip right through. Definitely reasons to buy there, and definitely reasons to buy on top of that 14.9. We talked about taking that 322 short. So while the midday was going on, I did take that 322 short. Didn't really wait for that lower high. I kind of got in. Well, I got in at a lower price than the high, but the high kept on highing. So we stopped out of that one, and I was like, no, I do not want to fight this trend. So it took a little long and kind of made back a little bit there. But clearly, I was a little antsy on the selling as we push all the way from 322s to 327. Can't stop, won't stop. That 15 thou comes in, the 15,100. So not only have we done 300 points back to the upside, we've done about 4, which is absolutely wild there, Neil. But yeah, I'm looking at some of the market leaders here once again. Taking a look at Tesla as well. That 260 kind of coming in. We were talking about Rivian. Rivian still hasn't really caught that much of a bid as that selling pressure may be taking in effect. But yeah, the market being very strong. Rivian not as strong. PLTR definitely strong as we broke past all of those levels. We were like, oh, will the 15 come back in? Will the 16 come back in? And both of them really, the 15 holds and the 16 breaks, and we push to the upside. AMD as well. We talked about the 100 level and a potential for this level to kind of come back in. If that broke, we know 103 has been an interesting area as well. 105, 107. Neil, when is this market going to stop? When are we going to take a turn? Does it make sense for me to get with the trend all the way up here? I know I turned this guy around, and it seems like
No. See, this one's mine, and this
okay,
I reserve.
I'm sorry.
On the strong upward days, anyone that watches shows, you know this. I try to reserve when we're going upside, and it's obvious that we're going up. I'm not changing this until I want the market to turn. So, like when I change this from a bear to a bull, it's because I think we're. Well, not I think. It's generally speaking, I'm kind of wanting it to be the top or thinking it might be the top. It's a little bit weird after a day like today going into it. It's a regular weekend. It's a long weekend in Canada. It's a regular weekend for everybody else. But like going into a weekend, really? I know it's a big rally, but we want to buy these tops after today? I don't know. I'll be skeptical if we push 1.5 and close over 2%. I'll be a little bit skeptical. By the way, GM just blew out 31. So what runs continues to run. Renata, you just asked what's going on with Ford. Well, I had this chart up when you were asking that. I'm going to assume whatever is happening here is the answer to that question. This is what I was looking at. Just saw a big volume spike. I'm going to assume, I shouldn't make the assumption, but something might have just hit the wire regarding the UAW. They have breaking developments in negotiations. So UAW says they have breaking developments in negotiations. I'm not seeing any specifics from any source that I have. We'll keep her to the ground there, but that's what that spike was on GM, which I'm looking at, and I'm going to assume that's pretty much probably par for the course. Ford back at 12. Ford doesn't really move that much, but Ford back at that $12 level. Yeah, so same time, same spike. We'll keep our ear to the ground for some details, but all it said was new breaking developments in negotiations.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too. That's the headline so far. Anyways, we'll see what those developments are. But yeah, UAW saying they have breaking developments in negotiations. So all of those to the upside in a pretty big way right now. Let's you can throw that up, guys, and we can talk about Tesla. Was top of the list today, right across the board. We were dealing with negativity to the max this morning in the pre-market coming off that jobs number. This was 3+% downside here for Tesla. we're about to, did we actually just go? I think, yeah, we did actually just go green on the day there. Yeah, you can now get your new Model Y or Model 3 for $7,500 less, depending on which one you're looking at, obviously. But more price cuts here for Tesla today.
Yeah, we talked about this a lot on the midday show. Price compression possibly here for them, or margin compression, excuse me, in the face of large capex or building new gigafactories every which way. So, but you know, the idea here is I think he's probably trying to offload inventory and probably trying to get things ready for the new Model 3. We'll see when it's released.
Yeah, straight upside with everything else today, guys.
You think? So let's go to Tesla for a quick second. I actually, without being details, we were just talking about this. I think it's a retracement without details on that news. If you're just telling me new developments and you don't know what they are, first of all, if you get a deal, who says it's even a good deal for GM and Ford? It probably is not likely going to be, but Tesla, 261 is a big level. Sorry guys.
No, Neil, look at GM.
No, I know.
He came right back in.
I was just talking to Tesla, and I'm like, I have to flip the level 2 over and get to General Motors.
Beauty. We got short on that pop a little bit there.
All right, that can settle down.
Nice, you got the short above the 31s.
So the discussion we're talking about is, all I was saying was, even if you like the short, if you like the short, the previous high is 31. Like if you short underneath, which is fine, like you short underneath 31, like all roads lead to it working. But if you short underneath 31, like the risk to this is it's a little bit big on the risk, and the money fills are when it's retaking the high and trapping people buying the news long above. So when it retakes the top, you're trapping some people in there. Now I want to trail this probably to the 3080 level, because if it turns out not being good, you could easily see underneath VWAP here, but let me just get a trailing stop in. And it's not that, like, the short works no matter what. So sometimes it's like it doesn't matter what you do, it's going to win, so who cares? But I always tend to think, like, the money fills are where you're trapping other people, so I was waiting for it to get back above 31. And as Brendan was talking, we were, like, discussing this, and it's like, it doesn't matter. It can be 10 cents difference or 7 cents difference. But coming back into the downside, it was Tesla we're supposed to be talking about. So let's get to Tesla here. What's crazy about this is a lot of charts will look like this, where anything I liked with a line, like an over-under line for 830, every single trade I made with the over-under that I didn't, like if you didn't reverse, it just looks stupid. Like I had the right area. So like this is the consolidation, like 253. I waited for the market to open. Tesla failed under 253. That's where I was shorting it. I reloaded it only out in front, and I got out right at that. Like this was my plan. I just didn't reverse off that same level. And it's just, that's what it comes down to. I went long Palantir, I went long Roblox, I was long AMD, and it's like, I should have also been long Tesla. Like the level was dead right post number at that 53. And I was, sometimes you can have the right idea, but you can still manage to bungle the execution. Because once it holds this level at 253 the first time, I should be all over that dip and all over that dip. As I said, I was just trading other things, and whether they work or not is kind of besides the point, because every long worked out. But these were perfect off of the one level I needed to trade off of on Tesla. The other one I have marked off is 261. Now, I will say I'm not automatically shorting that level if we get there. It's, oh my goodness, that's my chart's still gone. Okay, my 15-minute, I forgot that I had to reload that one. Anyways, the 261 level just comes from, if you look at the last 2 weeks, it's a resistance spot for Tesla. So I kind of figured if we got there, it would be a spot to take it out.
Yeah, Neil, that was wild. That was a wild move on GM there. Talk about a little bit of luck. We saw it pop, and I was like, this looks interesting. No real news, okay. And then you see this tape stalling, and we were talking about, just as Neil covered, better entry kind of above the 31. And I was like, yeah, I might have chased a little bit here in the 90s. As we talk, straight quadunk by 40 pennies into the 50s. Thank you, come again. GM, that was a nice pleasant little surprise there. Very interesting. Again, got to call out the Fugays. We see the pop, and I'm like, that's an interesting stall. If this is gonna really go, this should have gone already, right? And then you pop, you can't really make it that much further past that high a day, and then you get that crazy wipe of the book back down to the downside. Sure, I covered here right under the 50s. This is gonna continue going to the downside, but that was wild. Thank you. That was a little lucky little gift we got there on the GM. Nice trade there, Neil, for sure. We talked about that 31.
And where's the exit? But like, I see you got out If you
Yeah.
can see, like, I scalped.
There was
spot
no
on the first
reason to
move.
exit. I'll be honest.
Well,
I was like, oh, consolidation, a little
don't
bit of a
know.
slowdown, I'm out. But that 30 looks real nice. I'll
No,
be
the
honest.
30 levels where I'm like, get it all out there.
Yeah.
Because if we can come back to the chart for a second, like that was this bottom. When we had the big flush yesterday, it recovered to
Yeah,
that and
the
then
whole-
closed at 30. So unless I know more of a reason why GM specifically should be falling, like there might be, then 30.30 was that level. Even this morning, 30.30 was this kind of like lower high and then a breakout. So
Yeah.
it was a level on the weekly chart. 30.30 was also the support. It wasn't 30 even. It was $30.30. So that was a big level this entire time. It looks like this is even worse for GM.
Yeah.
There might be something specific as to why this is really bad for GM. But Tesla 261 is the resistance level. Next up, not automatic that I showed it. But if I was in the long, like I said, I should have been. But we traded other things. Then 61 would have been the target either way. Let's head back to the desk and talk a little bit more big tech.
Yeah, pretty impressive move here right across the spectrum of big tech, including this one. Microsoft bounced off some lows from yesterday and the prior session as well, some key levels anyways, and it's just unreal, straight to the upside all day long from Microsoft. And I mean, there wasn't really a significant news catalyst this morning through that OpenAI note on the board there, just suggesting that or OpenAI had come out and said that they're considering looking into AI chips themselves and had even kicked the tires on a few possibilities as far as an acquisition to facilitate that. So a good look as far as that is concerned. But there's this ATVI deal could get done as early as next week as well. I mean, a few analysts talking positively. Just wow is all I got to say.
Yeah, so it's a good way to put it. Yeah, but with respect to the Sam Altman and OpenAI wanting to make their own chips, there's basically two reasons for that. Let's have a look here. His concern is there's too much of a shortage and lag time to get the chips that he needs to power OpenAI software, and the eye-watering costs associated with running them and buying them from chip makers like NVIDIA. So we'll have to wait and see if he can do it and who will be making them. Is it going to be TSMC? Is it going to be Intel? Who's going to be making these chips?
I think he's trying to keep up with Tesla as well.
Yeah.
And their robot. Have you seen, we talked about it, I think, that video that's flying around this week of I forget the name of it right now, but the robot, Tesla's robot sorting the bricks, and they're color-coded, and it can now understand, just in voice command, to sort color-coded bricks into two different containers, and then you actually see one tip over, and it knows enough to go and write it, so it's the right way. It's insane. And during the actual test, there's a human there that's moving them, so it has to adjust as it's happening. So, anyways, it's so cool.
I love seeing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it's just you just want to see more things that prove to you that the robot apocalypse is upon us, and that's fine by me. You know, I'm good to go. The only thing I don't get the shotgun, but we got a place to go. The in-laws, we're secluded, so when the robots take over and you guys are all screwed, just know that I will be okay. And that's what I want you guys to understand. Like, I'm prepared for it. I don't know what you guys are doing, but you know, when Skynet comes for us, I'll be fine. I'm going to talk about Microsoft for a split second. So, okay, fine. We don't have. We'll get to talking about some of the good trades, but then every now and then you just have to talk about one that's an abject fail. You got to get back into the trade if you like a 322 break. I remember somewhere saying that I liked Microsoft as a long above 322. I remember saying it. I remember getting in the trade. I remember saying, okay, this is not the right timing. But then it confirmed. Like, this is where it's like trying to shake out. If you're at a good entry area, there's likely to be some activity around. Either runs away from it right away, or you get a good consolidation. They get run stops back and forth, ends up supporting the early pre-market bottom under here, and then it takes out the top. That's got to be re-entry. It's never much of an excuse to say you were in something else, but it is true. Like, at the time, I said, okay, well, I'm out of Microsoft. Let me just, okay, fine. I like Roblox too. I like Palantir too. Let's just take those trades. But if you're just kind of focused on Microsoft, you're getting back in, and always going to show you where that's the reason to like that 22 area, but always going to show you how you could have known it could have gone to where it did.
Yeah, so I did. We talked about this. I did take that 22, a hit at that 22 there. Had the idea for the short, and yeah, just a level-to-level move. It would seem. We talked about that 315 kind of being key as well. Let me pull up the chart here. As you guys already know, this was a level of interest from before. As you can see from here, kind of a very consolidation support. And when we did break that level, you accelerate to the downside. But taking a look at the past couple of weeks, I was like, okay, this 322 is definitely a place where we've seen sellers kind of come back in, and we have this 327 area that we broke down as well, which is the next level up. And I was like, well, we were talking that 322 break. I was like, if we hold, I want to get short, but sorry, if we hold below, I want to get short. If we hold above, I want to get long, and where the potential target could be into that next level. And lo and behold, Softy gives you that bounce off the 315, wipes the pre-market levels, holds a 322, right up into that 327 where those previous sellers kind of started accelerating this move to the downside. Support turned resistance here, and this resistance, whether or not it'll be resistance, we have yet to determine that, but it seems like we're just taking out levels on the way up. So all what I'm gonna tell myself is that we are printing above the level. So what is the next level right here? Just looking left, I see that 330, definitely a level of interest, a whole number as well, and only about 3 points away. So Microsoft will do that. We'll eat 3 points for breakfast, as you know. It has quite a large ATR, and especially on a day with some RVOL and some market catalysts like today, you can push multiples of RVOL, giving you that 330 area well within the scope of today's range.
All right, we're going to sound a little bit like a broken record here, but pick a tech name, and it's going to be significantly higher. I didn't even bring up NVIDIA because it's the same old story. Again, there wasn't too much as far as news catalysts this morning. It was all about the jobs data, and then the market just took over. So to the upside in a big way here, right across the board for these.
Yeah, they had an apparent deal with this Middle Eastern company that is looking to buy some chips and expand their AI infrastructure. And this is something that we heard a lot about earlier in the year. The Saudis were reportedly buying these H100 chips hand over fist, in addition to the hyperscalers. That was we reported on that about a couple of months ago. So maybe just an extension of that story, Brendo.
Yeah, nice look anyways to wrap up the week, guys, for chips today.
This is right back.
Wrong, Brendan. Mention a tech name and it's up today. No, not if you're BlackBerry. Remember what we said about BlackBerry yesterday? BlackBerry's down 0.7%. I had to say this because look at the market today. If you're, I'm going another BlackBerry round. If you're down today, you suck. I'm just saying, you're not any good. You're like a base runner for the Toronto Blue Jays. You're getting picked off at second base. Like this is how you know a stock is in trouble. If you cannot rally today when Rivian is green, when the entire market did a huge V-shaped bounce, when you just announced, I know I'm making a rant, but that's fine. I'm just saying, like, this is the day that you should see a relief rally in a stock that's been beaten up like this when they were supposedly having a positive catalyst yesterday. Anyways, that's enough. I've now spent 2 rants in 2 days on this stock. Just so you guys, just a little bit of a backstory here. Okay, a couple of things. One, I've had BlackBerries all my life. I just recently got rid of one. I went to the University of Waterloo, where like almost everybody that worked at BlackBerry went to that university. They were founded in that town. I have friends that worked there for years. It's a company it was the jewel of Canada, and they completely bungled it. And it's like one of those sore spots that just sort of sits with you. So anyways, that's that. We can move on to NVIDIA here, but come on, like they're down today. Tells you all you need to know. NVIDIA, I traded AMD today. I'm going to get that out of the way. I did not trade NVIDIA. I think when we were going over the levels, about the only thing I was saying was if it breaks 450, there was like a no-fly zone, 450 to 452 for me, and then 52 was good. Well, this is what line we had drawn. It broke it, supported it, and now looking to hold the highs. Now, the one thing about NVIDIA here that's worth noting is if I just pull over the futures and maybe zoom in for you guys, notice how you're, like from about noon, that's noon's here, and then noon is here, right? So you're basically breaking a new high and gently gliding up on the 15-minute when the NASDAQ futures, and since then, you've been barcoding off 455, 56 on NVIDIA. So essentially, NVIDIA stopped going up as we've been slowly grinding higher. That's the observation that I think is relevant. Now, it's broken the 50 period on the daily, so there's really nothing. Like on the daily, it's past support levels. The actual resistance next level up is at like 62. So I don't really see what's holding it back other than maybe it's 455. It's Friday. NVIDIA's got a ridiculous P. I'm not sure what's holding it up, but the observation would be as the market's been climbing higher, it's been sitting it out. So I don't wonder if we fade back into 15 or show any rejection of the 15.1 level if NVIDIA isn't just good as a short right now. Like you contrast AMD, like everything else, AMD, every long looks like you should have been adding to it when you were getting it. We're going to talk about this in the after show because one of the most important, I'm going to spoil something we're going to have a discussion about how you can work this in, about why where you get in matters so much in terms of holding trades and getting a better win, having a higher win rate, holding your trades longer, getting in at a good price matters even if you end up being right. And then on top of that, sometimes your first out is an interesting second entry. But we'll get to that in the after show. I wasn't in it long enough. Fair enough. The early short, I was smart enough to get out of it. I then only shorted the next level up. Did not try to short it when it failed under 103 because it looked strong. Was late to getting the 104, which is part of the problem, and then got out too early because I put a trailing stop. Instead of just cover and hold, I put a trailing stop to get out because I was scared of 105 failing because I was too bearish on the market. I didn't think we'd break out. And when I saw this overhead resistance at 105 on my 15-minute chart here, I saw that, like, oh my goodness, we just wicked that high, trail out, this is gonna dump back into 103. That's where my head was at. And then the opposite happened, I didn't get back in, as I said, Palantir and other things. But the chip names are strong, just worth mentioning, NVIDIA is really slowing up a little bit. If the market goes another 100 points and NVIDIA doesn't move, I don't see how you don't short the first pullback on the NASDAQ by trading NVIDIA.
I think that's a fair assessment. Like to kind of go forward with what you were saying, where is all this buying pressure coming from? I think just looking a little left here, I think it's pretty clear where some of this buying pressure is actually coming from. A lot of great reasons to get short here and here underneath that 450, right? Now you get an economic number which kind of has an initial sentiment of short, so maybe you're even adding on to that fail of that 450, and then you wipe the whole move. Not only have you wiped today's market catalyst price action, you've also wiped a couple days ago this 450 flush, this crazy flush that we had, and also we're knocking on the door of this 455 that brought us all the way down into the 400 test. So you got about 50 points worth of buying pressure from shorts that may or may not be keeping us up on a Friday. I think if here's the thing, I won't be surprised if we go further. If we pull back, that's perfectly fine too, because I think we are a little extended, but the fact of the matter is that we have been accumulating a lot of buying pressure in the past couple of weeks, and if we're gonna melt up, we're gonna melt up. That's, it seems like the case as we hold this 15-1 there, Neil.
All right, let's talk about Rivian here. Heading into the weekend, obviously, as Neil was mentioning when we came in, positive, coming off of what happened yesterday and what was looking to be just an absolute disaster going into the open today, but it's been nothing but straight to the upside for this thing as well. If you missed it yesterday, $1.5 billion in long-term debt raised going up to 2030. So that was a move to the downside. But as Neil said, even Rivian up today.
Yeah, green convertible notes. So the difference is it's supposed to be for environmentally sensitive projects, and there are certain tax credits and tax implications for the buyers and holders of that note. So that's why they did it that way. But look, there's a premium here that they're selling it at. They sold it at $23.29 a share. That is a 27.5% premium from where it was trading when this was offered. So it's people paying up higher to get in on this.
Google day highs, 2.15%, by the way. I mean, in relation to what happened yesterday, 20% I think it was at the lows for Rivian. Yeah. 1.25% here is not a huge bounce, but I mean, we'll take it.
Yeah, like this last move to the upside, like now NVIDIA is actually starting to join it. So we're gonna talk Rivian. It's SSR today, so it was short sell restricted, which did mean that if you're trying to get a short, like you couldn't hit the bid, so you had to sit on the offer, You had to sometimes chase it down. So at the open, that's me like messily building positions underneath 18. If you were watching the morning show, you knew it. Like build a position under 18, try to hold it to VWAP and under in case it's going to roll over, and then take a stop out, wicked out, build a position again. Looks like it's going to start working, stop out, and then I just if I take the last time, like maybe when it breaks VWAP, you get enough out so that you're green on it. But I was really thinking home run from that level. And I just never really was looking long on Rivian today. So all the best you can do is just not get destroyed by fighting it after the fact. Like it gave me the level I wanted. I took a couple of shots at it and it didn't work. I didn't take it the third time and it's been a long ever since. I don't necessarily think that this makes sense for one that should be rallying in the afternoon or like right into the close over a weekend with the news that they had. Like, come on. Even if you believe in the Mag 7 more, like you can't, I don't know if you're believing in the companies that are having the troubles with financing, or gonna have to raise, or have a lot of capital expenditures. Like those are the names that you like to hold on to on this rally. I'm not sure Rivian is that one, but there's a lot of short covering that probably has to unwind after what happened yesterday. It has not gotten all the way back to this low from about 1 o'clock this time yesterday. That was at that 1880 level. But that could be the zone where if I see that on Rivian, I take a shot at it. And we'll see what happens if we get another 20 cents higher in Rivian. I might like that short. If the futures are like 3% up, maybe I change my mind. I doubt that's the case, but you never know. I mean, we're at almost 2% on the NASDAQ. Like if we got to 2.5 and Rivian's up there, I might think better of it and just say don't short anything. But for this point, that's where I like it, about that 1875, 1880.
Yeah, I'm just took a look at the SPY there. SPY's done about 10 points on the day. That's redonkulous. But yeah, so at Rivian, we talked about that 18 level in the morning. I think it's a fair assessment to get short at that 18. But once you kind of break above and start holding it distinctly, you can see that kind of a wick up and kind of a hold, and you start to consolidate, get above. You don't necessarily, just like Neil said, you don't want to really fight it, because take a look left. Where those sellers really come in yesterday, sure, they were there in the pre-market, but yesterday you try to curl into the close, you kind of you test this 1930s area, and then you straight sell off into the close for a straight. What is this? This is a 15-minute chart. So like 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 5, almost 5 candles there, so almost an hour and a half into the end of the day, you sell off. So in my opinion, with what the chart data is showing us, the sellers really get aggressive here at that 1930, 1940 area. Can't really get above that level. So I think it's fair enough to give it that on the 18 hold, at least till there, to really assess the short. But as of right now, the trend is definitely your friend, and you do not want to fight that on Rivian.
Fight.
Oil, I just noticed, yeah, just closed. So there was a volume spike there at the close. 0.8 positive for futures when all is said and done after 2 days in a row that tallied up to 7% to the downside for crude. Energy stocks across the board followed suit. We were talking about XOM on that deal this morning. Yeah. Potential $60 billion for Pioneer they're going to pay. So it was down. I haven't even checked if it is still, but for the most part, energy stocks across the board, a nice bounce back day.
Yeah, XOM's still having trouble going green here, down 0.8%. But here, let's talk about the deets. This Pioneer company is a shale company. They extract shale. The acquisition is supposed to be something in the $60-something billion. That'll be the largest Exxon has done since 1998 when it purchased Mobile, whatever you want to call it, for $81 billion. But like I said this morning, this might be tough to close given the current state of the FTC and the fact that this is an energy sector not really beloved by this administration.
Exactly. Shout out to Trade Ideas bringing you the rundown today and every single day. Michael Noss did actually go to the gym this morning and missed the entire employment number move, and then came back and said, what did I miss? So shout out to Trade Ideas. Trader TV 20, guys, all weekend, all day, every day, gets you 20% off.
Fitness is important. He's, that sucks. But you know what though, like depending on your outlook, it's like, if you were thinking bearish and you just sort of sat it out for the first hour or so, or from 8:30 to like 9:30, then I think you're laughing, because then you're okay. Like, you would have come back after the gym, maybe trade after the first half an hour where it looked like a pretty clean long, and then the only thing you would have done is join the long trend. Like, that's actually fine, man. Like, but that ain't what I did. Like, we were, you know, we had early on we were bearish, so we started short, unfortunately. ZOM bounced because everything else bounced, and it bounced at 105. Not going to do the whole rewind the tape thing because I don't have the trade, so what the hell difference does it make? All the way up to 108. And this is, so the other thing I always say, and this is when people ask about, like, oh, this company is acquiring another one, why are they down so much? Because it's a big expenditure, the market tends to punish them. I always say, like, look back at this thing after 10 o'clock, and then a lot of times on day one, after a big deal is announced, if the acquiring company is getting beaten up, if it makes a low at 10 o'clock, sometimes it's good to work that low, but allow it to settle down. Like, when the sellers at the open stop, that's usually a good point. It happened to work out today, but like I said, it's not a stock I was trading. I've been asked several times where my out is on VCNX. Come on, you guys watch the show. If I'm taking the stock breaking $1, my stop is at $1. It's actually, okay, technically it's at like 99 point something, but I'll let you guys guess like what fraction of 99 cents that I actually put it at. It doesn't really matter. It's just a long off the dollar. I did reload it, but it's already gone back up to 110, so I'm really just holding on to 30% of it. And if it breaks the high, I will have 20%, and then we'll see what it can do. So this is just the old dollar play. The pre-market top on volume at 7 a.m. was here, but it did some really light volume stuff at 125. Like, maybe it gets up there. I've been in that one for a while, so we'll see. Roblox, as I mentioned, this is now starting to sit it out. I just haven't gotten out of this because it's really just barcoding up my trail. I don't have a reason to add to it, and I might as well just hang on to it until it breaks my trailing stop underneath this flat bottom at 30.20. Like, I set my trail where my first exit was, and then, my second exit was the same place, set my trail underneath that, and it's just not really doing anything. So, no really need to do anything with that one just yet. Renata, time to buy Coke for the long-term account? No, see, this was one of the ones, I don't know, it's up today, but okay. I feel as if we said this, when we were going over these names, I was pretty conflicted about Coke. I bought Procter recently because I feel a little bit more confident. It's just, it's a safer play. Obviously, if you pick the bottom on Coke or Target, whenever it does turn, you're going to be laughing. Like any one of these types of names. I'm sure there's something else, like Coke, Target, there's something else I'm missing, Disney. But I don't know. I don't understand it. I do understand why they're under pressure a little bit, but in terms of picking a bottom here, this one has flummoxed me, and I feel as if you've been trying to guess where Target would bounce for a while, and you just broke this bottom at 54. Like this just happened, and you're bouncing day one, and you're not even back above that support level. Like, if it closes above 54, and we come in next week, and 54 is the floor, and that actually holds, that doesn't seem that bad. But I don't know, you don't have to be early. It's Coke. Like, why would you need to be early buying Coke for the long term? Think about that for a second. Yeah. Like, it's not the thing you're supposed to be in for 1 week or 2 weeks. The idea with a company like this, you're buying it for quality, you're going to hold it for a very long time. So whatever you think might be broken with it in the short term, like the second I feel that's no longer true, then then maybe work something like that, because this and Target. And the other part is, like, if you like Target, like, why wouldn't you just buy a better retailer? It's like, why pick a bottom in Target? Just buy a better retailer. With Coke,
you got like
what
Walmart, Nordstrom. You have some Macy's.
You could have picked up Costco.
Yeah, Costco. I mean, Costco's a great one. Yeah.
Not to go off topic. The market is still making highs. But hey, you could have picked up Costco breaking the 50 period. Just yesterday, well, today, and there you go. Broke the 50 period, regained it back above 550. I was saying, like, everything is up except for Verizon, Walmart, and Costco. Well, Costco, and someone corrected me in this, and you know what, this is true. Like, I should never speak this way. We're supposed to, as traders, talk about things since the open. Like, yes, we flushed, but since the open, we're actually up on Costco. It's just % down after it gapped down at 830. But $15 recovery off the bottom. They like buying Costco off the bottoms because it's a good company. Presumably why? So that relationship, and I'm staring at my NVIDIA chart, that little relationship where the NASDAQ continues to climb higher and NVIDIA doesn't break this top is continuing. I don't want to be completely obsessed with this, but if we hit 2% on the NASDAQ, that means we've climbed another, it's going to be like 180 points or something, somewhere in that range, without NVIDIA making a break of this 56 in earnest. Like, how is that not going to be some kind of a short on any turn? Like, that's wild. So if we get a turn in the NASDAQ, we show some signs of weakness, I'm going to try NVIDIA. This happened on GM. This is why you have target outs, in my opinion, on flash news or whatever you want to call it, because maybe more got said. Maybe something else happened. But like, you just play the flash news, play the rejection of the high, play it inside of the range, and now it's all of a sudden breaking up the top. I'm not really sure why it's breaking the top. Maybe something else has come out here. Yeah, I don't know. If we see something else on the wire, we'll let you guys know about it, but that's crazy. All the way back up to the top is insane. And breaking the top too, like some shorts that got greedy probably just had their back broken. Tesla's at 261, so this is the resistance level. So we know that, I know there's news on GM, and we were posting some of it, but like I wasn't watching the press conference from Fein or anything. I just managed to see a couple of notes on it, and then we just took the reversion trade. So I don't really know what else he said that could cause that to break the high. Tesla is trying to break this 261. Rage TV says AMD might be a better short. Maybe. Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, AMD looks the same thing as NVIDIA. Like, it's not making new highs while the market's making new ones. You might be right. This might be easier as well.
Yeah, that move on GM was pretty wild there. We were talking a little bit about that. Again, reason to get into the trade was the relative change in that tape speed and aggression, and then definitely reason to get out is just the same. When you get that relative change, if it's not as aggressive to the downside anymore, it starts to stall. Definitely, I think that's a great reason to buy, and kind of the trade is now changed off of that. And we took a quick scalp off of that short. Pretty crazy, and then now we wipe back. So if you were holding on to this and maybe even adding on more on this lower high, we talked about that, you're kind of a little bit underwater here, as it seems like you said the UAW president or CEO is speaking right now, which could be affecting.
Well, it looks like
action, right? Thank
you to a couple people in the chat, Amanda in there and Kadir, I think your name is. UAW pauses strike expansion after transformative win, and then car makers spared from new strikes this week as talks progress. So like that's the sort of thing, like you play that snap news, but then as people are starting to figure out what's going on, like you can get a big reversal. That's just the reason sometimes you want to get in and get out.
Yeah.
And don't have to worry about, okay, well, what's the actual overall reaction going to be?
I think this is a perfect example of like being with the flow, right? Like being like water. Like I like to say that. Like you see the aggression, you're there. If it's gone, I'm gone as well. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I think that was a great example of that. Again, we got lucky. We were sitting here, we were watching it. It was popping. We were like, oh, what is the news? We don't know. The tape definitely gave us signs that like this move kind of had this kind of outlier action on the day, and then it suddenly stops. Great reason to get short, and then you're gifted with a crazy sell, wiping the book to the downside, and then it stalls again on the downside. Can't even make it down to 30. I was like, oh, maybe down to 30, and then no, it just holds up above it, rebids the whole move, which is absolutely wild there.
That's now, Bruce Lee, isn't it?
Yeah. Bruce Lee. It's a great interview from like 1971. That's where it comes from, I think, and it's a black and white interview. Pretty awesome. One of my favorite, I guess, philosophical interviews. Definitely Jet Li.
So just
Bruce Lee spitting some wisdom there.
Just for my, obviously, just my personal curiosity, who would win in a fight, Bruce Lee or Pootie Tang?
Yeah.
You don't know who Pootie Tang is?
I've heard the name before. Let me do a quick Google search. How about that? How do you? I don't know. I don't want to search something weird. I don't know what. Yeah. How do you spell that name?
Look. If you know who Pootie Tang is, then you know what's up. I'm just saying, because Pootie Tang would obviously win that fight. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. You're just so you know. Just so you know, you're going to look it up and then you'll see why. I want to get to Palantir because I should still be in Palantir right now. And the 16 break was obvious. Okay, I'm not saying it's obvious, but like look at the rejection underneath, the bounce off 15, consolidation top, tick it once, pull back, break it out, run to the horses. Even the dip buy off the consolidation. So like here's your top end consolidation at 1630. That's where we're taking a bulk of it out. When it broke, we kind of held. I did have this bad trail out. See, I'm deep in the money. If I put a trailing stop in when I'm deep in the money, it's always bad. It always looks really, really bad. It's like a good price, but like look at that. That's exactly where you should have got more shares in is when I'm actually trailing it out. It then made a new high. This was wild because look at the retracement here. Was all red on the 3, right back into that breakout price, which like it cannot set up easier than that for a long. Like double top earlier, breaks out on the triple top, goes like 10 consecutive red candles in, and then stops on a dime at 1630, which is the previous high. Okay, so you go long, you risk 5 cents, and then it goes back to, I should still be in that because there's no way that I should be getting it out inside of that mess. I should be holding on to a piece, but it is what it is. Palantir looks pretty solid here. It's just, like I'm not buying this top on Palantir. That's the problem. If you're in it, it's fine. There's a huge ask at 1662 on the level 2. I'm looking at it right now, one of mine, but I'll pull it up for you guys. I don't see it, so it might be on a gateway that I'm not seeing until we get to the level 1 price, but I'm not really seeing any big size at 1662, but it could, like I said, it could be on a different book, and maybe it's on a book that I'm not looking at the depth on. So sometimes you get big size on Palantir in the offer. It doesn't always mean anything. I do want to get to Apple because I don't feel like we talk about Apple enough. I took the L twice on Apple, 175. I did say I would not fight shorting Apple above 175 today, and I had this short off the pre-market highs. So that was probably a mistake. This should have been one that I went to the long in, but again, you pick and choose. Like I said, I picked Roblox and I picked Palantir and I picked AMD, and you got to live with the decisions that you make, even when they end up being wrong, right? So Apple at the same level would have been a much better long, right into resistance at 177.
Yeah, that's.
We had a lot of good resistance levels today. I had a lot of good levels that I didn't like the short when it got there, and then that was like the actual short, not when I took it. It's like, do I have a line anywhere on this chart except for down at 173.5 at 177? I don't. And then that was the best shorting opportunity. Sometimes that's the thing about patience, right? Like you can want something to happen, but the amount of patience it takes to sit there and say, well, I'm not in this long off 75. Now I'm waiting for 77 short. Wait. There's your entry right in here. Take your buck and run. This is now off to the races. I think 180 is not necessarily ridiculous. My 15-minute does not want to pull back. We'll keep it on the daily. This is 180. That's a nasty-looking daily chart, but that's 180 on the daily. That's $2.50 away. Seems unlikely, but the way these things are running, like Meta and Apple, and it's NVIDIA and AMD that aren't going anymore, but everything else, these are rocket chips. I'm just staring at these chips. Like, if they're not going to go, how can they not be a short at the first sign of weakness?
Yeah.
just AMD and NVIDIA. Everything else is flying, and I don't know that I want to short it.
Yeah, I think we definitely had that chips with the dip this morning on that news, and then that dip was definitely low a day. We held supports there. So something I kind of want to point out here, Neil, I know we've been watching the VIX, and the VIX kind of tested that 20 area, and we saw this 1960-ish kind of a key. And take a look at this. We always talk about how volatility loves to revert. And the first initial test of that 20, I've been writing down in my notes every day. I'm like, watch out for the reversion. Back into 17s, back into 15s is more than valid based off of the move that we've kind of had, and that initial test of that 20 can definitely give you that. Because a lot of, I think myself included, a lot of people were waiting for that kind of VIX to push into the 20s, into the high teens as well. And now we're getting that reversion of that volatility. And with that reversion, we're getting that kind of a grind up, kind of a melt up on the markets there. So I think that's something definitely as day traders we need to be aware of at all times, but especially when volatility is moving around in a volatile manner, right? So yeah, that VIX kind of bleeding down. I had that 18 kind of mark, 17, kind of a nice steady grind to the downside. Now, maybe if and when this can bounce anytime today or maybe next week, we can get the reversion of the reversion, maybe back towards these 18s and 17s, and we might catch it a little bit of a sell, kind of giving us a bit of reversion on this crazy move that we've had at the end of the week, right? I'm real curious to check out some of the weekly charts here on some of these large caps, but you know what? We'll start off with the NQs because that one is perking my interest the most right now as we're approaching that previously significant level of around 15,170, 15,2 if you want to call it. But yeah, let's take a look at the weekly real quick as we definitely went a little bit red to green on the week today as we broke above that 14,970, right? We got that doji yesterday. Take a look at this triple wick defense on the lows of that 14.6. We definitely don't want that 14.6 right now, but something I do have noted is that we did make a lower high relative to this COVID run up that we had, kind of end of year of 2021, right? We pushed up in the 16.8s, and we make a lower high at the 16, about 800 points below, and now we're kind of in this well, it hasn't really formed itself fully, but clearly there's a flat bottom right here at that 14.6, and as you guys can observe, there's a bit of a downtrend. So maybe that's the next potential trade here. If we can kind of push, there's a lot of room to the upside all the way back into the top of this trend, and we're still going to maintain that sentiment to the downside if that is the case off of this lower high. If not, if we kind of push back above this, and I'm looking at that 15.4 as kind of an area of interest that might come in next week or the next couple of weeks. But going into the end of the year, I think both of these levels will be pretty interesting as they've shown themselves to be, especially that 14.6 that we're ripping faces off of on that buying pressure that just comes in off of that 14.6. So that's pretty wild there. We see most of that pressure just coming in intraday, only today. So I'll be looking for some reversions next week. If we don't get any sort of reversion kind of going into the end of the day, we have about an hour and 10 minutes until the bell, and it seems like there is no sign of relief on any of these names. Microsoft straight to the upside, so is Apple, so is Alphabet and Meta, and a lot of these other names as well.
What was that one you said before Meta?
Google?
I actually thought I heard you call it Alphabet. That's like the first time.
Yeah, no, I call it Google, but I also like to call it like Alpha as well. It's just, you know,
I do that
nice
too.
and short, yeah.
I try to actually go between just in case people are like, the company's actually called Alphabet. That's what you guys are supposed to say. Yeah. No, you usually just say what makes the most sense. But I'll go back and forth. So we might get chopped up here, but I did say if the first sign of weakness, I was going to look for AMD. Could have been NVIDIA. Both of them had been kind of checking out and just chilling out at the top as the market's been going higher. Then it ran the top, rejected it instantly. I'm like, okay, let's grab 107s in here, 107.05. The top is the quarter. It's really not ridiculous. It's been like 20 cents worth of risk. It's off that high. I'm not really feeling chasing some of these longs, so we'll see what happens. But I was picking between this and NVIDIA. And when this, I think it was a couple of the viewers were saying, yeah, AMD might be easier. It feels a little bit more clean. We'll see what happens. But there is, we want me to short AMC? Ugh. Isn't AMC at 9? Oh, it's at 920? 940 it hit today. Wow. Okay, AMC. Well, yeah, AMC above $9 is not really, I mean, it could fail the $9 level, and then you're taking the money fills over, and then it gets back underneath 9. But that was kind of that breakout when you pull up the daily chart on AMC. Like this one, like when you're breaking this to fill in this gap, like that's 11 up here since the reverse split. And look at the consolidation on it. Like I'd feel much better shorting this thing closer to $11 than right here, right now. It doesn't mean it's not going to work. I mean, it's AMC. Like sometimes shorts are great. Most of the time shorts are great, realistically. But yeah, I don't know if I want to do that one. It's almost power hour, and it has a notion to sometimes run you over in power hour. AMD, I don't want to be forcing too many short trades. I think that's almost crazy. So if you find something you like, you can take a shot at it, tight stops, all that good stuff. I took another route on VCNX. I'm just going to show you what's going on with this thing because it's 1 to 110 right now. It just rejected a $1.10, bounced off VWAP. So like that's kind of like a rejection candle. It gets above the high, couldn't get to that 12 or print enough 12s. It got there, it takes some dark pools. Then the lower high takes them out. Still going to stop out at $1, but it's showing enough signs of slowing down that it makes some sense to take some out there. Dan Emmons said the Q's printed as high as 365.91, equivalent for the NASDAQ. If it gets there, would be closer to 15.2, now trading 15.14. Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to think the NASDAQ has more. That was the reason I was sort of saying, if the NASDAQ gets to 15.2 and these chip ones haven't moved, I would like it even more. Like the fact that we continue to make highs, that's one thing on AMD or showing you that enough, on NVIDIA, and these aren't going. But if we go another 50 points and get all the way to 15.2 on the ES, if we get up here, come on, like, and they don't participate, if we get to 15.2, then I'd be really shocked if there wasn't a pullback. But with only an hour left, that's still another 70 points away. It can happen. At that point, you're talking about well over 2% there for sure. But certainly, like something's got to happen. So a shoe has to drop. Like either we get to this 2% mark, make a run. If we slowly grind up, that's just a way to easily overtrade and get chopped up. Unless you're sitting in longs, holding them, finding places to buy dips. Sorry, someone in the chat just said, look at NVIDIA, CVNA. And then I typed in NQ because the last thing I was looking at was a NASDAQ stock. Short Carvana, squeeze name, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that one.
That's a reversal on the daily on Carvana. It's write Carvana on the iPad for next week. When this happens, it's not that I want to trade Carvana right now, but look at the level here. See that 36 flat bottom break? 1 wick underneath, immediate reversal. Like that's a reversal candle on the daily chart. On a squeeze name, that's a 40% short float. So if it's above this next week, I think you look for squeeze until something else happens. And it's got room, man, like resistance at 40, then 43. Like that's got a lot of room to run. This doesn't feel like much of a short level here. Like I generally think the other thing, when it's, when you get that kind of a rejection, I'm usually thinking the other way in the short term. Or when you get that breakout, it needs to show me a failed break, and then you want to short those, or an overextension to the upside. Like if this were to break get into this level today, like into 40, kind of extend itself, fail 40.5, then you short it failing that level, that's one thing. But it's only breaking this consolidation now, so you're not getting the breakdown there, not really feeling it. You just don't want to force trades. Checking back on GM just because it was moving, still pulling back. But I think we were right to get out of that trade. I'm just wondering if this isn't trying to continue a trend to the upside, though. GM's another one that rejected a flat bottom break. Just same setup as Carvana. Just one of them has a 40% short float. The other one has the largest float imaginable. It's like a ridiculous amount of shares floated this thing. But it broke this 30-30, spent 1 day underneath. Now it's recovering. You're getting a local breakout. That's kind of bullish. So I wouldn't mind joining this trend in the afternoon on a dip. I think the options are this previous high here, 31s, or VWAP, like down at 30.75. So let it fall, see where it bounces. If it bounces at either one of those two levels, I kind of like a GM retracement play here, now that things have calmed down a bit.
Yeah, for sure. Neil, you were saying it's almost power hour. We've had a power day. Forget about the hour. We've had a full-on power day, Neil.
True.
This is absolutely wild. Maybe I'm looking for a reversion. I'm looking for some sort of relief to potentially get short into, because are we going to stay bidding all the way up into the close? Sure. You know what? If the market chooses to do that, I am nobody to say otherwise. But are we a little too high? Are we a little too far too up? A little bit overbought? Potentially, yes. This is a bit of an outlier move there. I am watching the SPYs as well. I was looking at some of the large caps here, and I was just like, yeah, I can't really get a feel for like which one is at a proper level. Is there anything that I can structure a potential trade off of? Sure, but a lot of them are kind of straight to the upside. Then I switched over to the SPY, and I was like, hey, listen, if the market is doing a move like this, then why not take a move with the market? So SPY is definitely going to be on watch right now. We have that 431 area kind of top there. I'm going to be waiting for a little push. We talked about that 15,170 or the 15.2 area kind of being of interest, and we got about an hour roughly left in the day to see if we're gonna continue bidding up for the next hour, or we catch a bit of a fade, or we just consolidate sideways. There's only 3 ways we can go, Neil, either up, down, or sideways. So we don't have too many options in that sense, but the fugazi is definitely going to be there, present at all times.
There goes AMD.
AMD apparently is making new highs. As Neil says, there goes AMD. Definitely a lot of these chips.
Were
you short?
I was short 7.5, and then just got out at 26, so like 21 cents. But you know, like it gets still just grinding. Like look at the tight consolidation. Like that, it's wild. So either you're just sort of sitting in something, giving it a bunch of room because you're really convicted that's the direction it's going to go, or you're waiting for a shoe to drop. I always feel like I'd rather be taking like the small paper cuts and just try to catch it when it gets there and not really force anything too big, because you can get really hurt at the end of the. You don't want to throw away your week. Just betting that you're so right for what the last hour is going to be. I was asked, do I still believe a firm is going to 15? Short answer, yes. Obviously, today is the start of a change of something. But given the way that this rejection on a firm has happened, so 25, 23 was a big level. You got to pull the daily chart back further to wonder why 23 is a big level, but it is. And then 20 here, like it goes, breaks 23, holds 20, tries to climb back on a bounce to 23, rejects that, goes under 20, under the 50 period as well. The 15 level is the 200 period. That's why I'm looking at it. It's also previous support. This is when it actually started a big run. Unless you break 20 or at least consolidate above 19, I'm not convinced this is over. Because if you believe the same thing, like here, when it was at the $20 level, like it bounced from there, couldn't take out 23. When that didn't happen, you're like, okay, we're heading another step lower. And that's exactly where it went, right to the next consolidation area. And so that's all we're doing. We're bouncing off the next consolidation area in a downtrend. That means you short the next anticipated pop. That feels like it could be the 19 to 20 area to me. So I'm not really done with thinking a firm is headed lower. There was actually a really good, I don't know if it was a report or just some analyst was coming out saying some positive things, like buy now, pay later was expected to have double-digit growth in general in this holiday season. That's good for a firm. I think a lot of things in the economy might be bad for them. But hey, when the jobs market is really good, then that's probably not a bad sign for a business like a firm and some of the spending. But again, I remain skeptical here. So I'm still looking short. Doesn't mean I short it every single day, but when short's set up, I'm still thinking it gets to that level. Nothing has really proven me otherwise. It's just the start of something. As we speak, I want to get to Rivian if I can for a quick second. Rivian kind of a reversal candle as well, if you look at it on the daily, but it has not gotten through this 1880. This is the other place I kind of like that short too. Like it's easier to believe that maybe people don't want to be sitting in Rivian over the weekend after the way this got absolutely hammered to just hammered to the downside. Like this was so nasty and there was no bid, and it hasn't been making higher highs since 1 o'clock, right? Like the high is at 1 o'clock, it dipped and it's making a lower high. That's at least, I mean, it's one thing when you have AMD, which is barcoding, position boards off, which is barcoding, but this is making lower highs. So maybe this is probably the better one to go. I'll get to PRZO in a quick little second.
Yeah, I am. I'm looking at the SPYs here, that consolidation kind of break. But here's the thing: nothing is really showing signs of a real turn there as of right now. things are approaching in and around these resistance levels on some names, and some names have broken out right now. So let us know in the chat what you guys are looking at in Power Hour. Do you guys have any trades that you're potentially looking to execute on? I'm definitely looking for that for a potential backside move. If we can get some lower highs, if we can get some sort of sign of a trend reversal here as the trend. If you pull up any chart here on any of these large caps, a lot of these names have not broken through any of their moving averages, any of these trend indicators. None of them have been really, like, I guess, violated as of right now. We can take a look at the 5-minute right there. So take a look at that, holding the SPY, definitely holding that 8 very, very strongly, and kind of using that space in between the 21 and the 8 as a bit of support, trend support, as we kind of melt up on the day. I'm watching Apple as well. Apple is very, very strong as well. No real reasons to sell as of right now. Definitely the long coming in very, very nicely. If you held any of those positions from the beginning of the day, that's pretty awesome. Good on you. Let us know what your reasons to buy and your reasons to sell are for that. But yeah, take a look at this. Softy as well. Very, very clean. Still pushing that 328 coming in, only about 2 points from that 330 mark right there. So I want to see if that 5150 acts as resistance or not. Google as well, kind of holding very, very strongly. And I know Amazon, that 125. We were talking about that 125 earlier this morning. I kind of had 124.40 marked on the sticky note, but we were trading a little bit of the cues at the time there. That 124.40 acting as a bit of consolidation support. And where do I get that 124.40 from? It is yesterday's low. That's pretty much it, right? Yesterday's low, we consolidated and held, and you recovered over 50% off of that. So I was like, maybe there are buyers at this level, at that 124.30, as we've seen them show up here once, twice. Sorry, only twice. Once, twice, and yeah, as Sharif says in the back right there, thrice off of that same level. Sure, you dip a little bit, you have a little bit of an overextended move to the downside through that level of support that's been showing up all week, and then you kind of hold that level and push back up. These support levels kind of rhyming across the board. Similar story with that 174 on Apple, this 124.40 on Amazon, that 133.60 on Google, that 300 on Meta, that 315 on Softy. So like a lot of these supports held, and a lot of those resistances we broke through. So are we headed back up to the upside? This buying pressure is definitely serious today. I'm still waiting for a reason to get short here on the SPYs. I haven't really seen anything yet. The trigger finger is a little itchy, and I am aware of that. So I'm gonna stay a little patient and wait for, I guess, what we were talking about in the morning. Let others pay for that information, and then get in at a better place where, sure, you might miss out on some profits, but at least you're not chasing, and at least you have some a little bit of confirmation there. It is the end of the day. We have been strong all day. If we choose to continue with the trend, then there is nothing wrong with that. You don't want to be fighting that. You don't want to be anticipating, oh, we've pulled up too far. How much further can it go? I'm just going to short here at this 431, right? I'm going to be waiting for a lower high. The NQs are still teetering near day high, so no real reason for me. I haven't really seen anything on the tape. I haven't seen anything on the charts. Still only reasons to get long, only higher lows and higher highs, nothing else of the sort. Definitely a trending kind of day today. I was trying to pull up the NQ Vold here real quick, and I was having some troubles kind of pulling it up, as this specific chart isn't as clean, but I know back at my desk I do have a much cleaner chart here. I don't know how to really interpret this chart here right now. This is a little messed up, but I think there's a setting somewhere that I have to. Oh, okay, you know what? Found it right there. Ooh boy. How do we refresh this? Okay, there we go, Neil. Take a look at that. The Vold, the volume up versus volume down on the day of all of the NQ, clearly kind of trending up on the day. So the buying pressure is definitely
impossible. There is no way
all
that's true.
day.
How could that be possible?
All day. I know. Just maybe. I don't know. It's just an indicator. Yeah. So no real signs right now. I'm sure the tick is just straight to the upside as well, closing above zero for most of the day. We can take a look at that as well. Tick.NQ.
We're going up.
Yeah,
No,
we're going up for sure.
the problem is like you're slowly going up now. Like, it's just you buy these highs, the market's not really moving. I wanted to quickly talk about this stock. It's already back open. ALXO. There was a halt, it reopened, and it failed 9 pretty darn quickly. Although it did not halt to the downside, looks like it's bouncing, not quite at the halt band, but it's bouncing in front of it. Maybe there's going to be some continuation here. I usually look at that previous halt price, which was 883, I want to say. And if it cannot get above that, like forget about it unless it goes like really deep down and consolidates. There's not a lot of time for it to consolidate at this particular moment. But yeah, ALXO worth watching. And I saw something in chat, which is pretty cool because sometimes you got to be patient and wait for things to set up and maybe run some ideas through. And one of those was, AMD has been, I can draw lines on this trade, a little more convoluted, drawing the lines on my trade ideas. But this is going to be, no one make fun of this line, okay? Because I'm not going to draw it properly. I'm going to draw it the way I want to. I'm going to draw it this way. So a lot of times you're like, just throw it to like these highs. But if you look at like the short-term trend on AMD, and the reason I kind of like it here is like the biggest volume spike was into this line here. And since you had the big Huadunk and you bounced off to 50, like that's been the peak that I think matters. The lower high that got put in the NASDAQ, the lower high that got put in here. Since then, someone was saying AMD's broken the trend to the downside. I would say it's back above the 50 period. So that's step one. It's going to close above the 50, something it has not done since going all the way back into early August. And even then, what happened the first day after that? It flushed underneath. So I'm not sure it's completely broken this trend. But if it opens up on Monday, A, above the 50 period moving average, B, breaking out, this is like 110-ish. So it opens up above there, it can take out 110, then it's really broken the trend. Then it can really start to get back going to the upside. Because unlike NVIDIA, which has been a little bit more buy the dip and run kind of thing, this has been a very steady, lower highs, lower lows kind of deal. And the first sign, rejecting the 100 breakdown, holding the 200 period moving average, this is showing some real signs of getting to the upside. And it just gives you an idea of, I'm not saying you go long every single day, but maybe you just favor the long at that particular moment, right? Like it gives you a reason to favor that long. So that's AMD. Okay, Tesla's now looking like it's gonna go. Whoever said Tesla broke resistance, now Tesla look like it's trying to go. Like it's been up and down. Can you make a decision off 261? Okay, well now it's starting to pull back in. Do not reject. Come on, what I would like to see here is either liquidity grab underneath 261, bounce here, and then grab it on the way back up, or just don't even liquidity grab under 61. The last thing you want to do is get a hammer candle rejecting the high and then just enter above. Now, like I want to see it maybe trap some people thinking that's a short and then go to the long side. But Tesla, again, you just get chopped around if you force the trade. Like you're waiting for a real reason to enter that one. I'm not really getting it yet. I can tell you that I will not reload VCNX at $1 again. The position board keeps on, I don't know what keeps happening to it, but yeah, there it is. It was just gone, now it's back again. I am not reloading this position. I'm just going to get out this time at the high because it's not been printing it. So I'm just going to get out at that high. The imbalances won't come until 350, and the early look will come at 330. We'll get that to you guys. I kind of think it's been small all week, but it's a Friday, and we had such a ridiculous move that I could see there being some decent imbalances. I mean, yesterday you had the key yesterday, and this is actually a really good point. On Rivian got destroyed all day long. Everybody already knows this. But this is at 350 when the imbalances hit. Like, what was the actual low of the day on Rivian at 350 when the imbalances hit? And it was a buy imbalance, shorts covering, that got you the best bounce. There was a few bounces on the day. That was the best one. So I don't wonder if when you're looking for something, like I'm sitting in it because it's the only thing making lower highs, I don't wonder if that's going to be an optimal point to maybe look for that reversal. Like if at 350, there's some kind of a shift or 355 maybe when imbalances pair off, that could give you a pullback. Because today, you're probably going to have some like short-term longs covering, although anyone that started the longs is feeling too good to want to cover right now is my guess. Like if you, well, not Rivian's a bad example. You showed NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a better example. Anybody that's been going long is feeling pretty good about it. Anybody that might have just entered, like a day trader that's going long, that bought the bottoms today, that's who we're talking about. Like when I say covering for profits, I'm not talking about people that have bought to swing this as it's breaking the 50 period. Like if you bought to swing this, you're not getting out just as it's breaking the 50 period. You're starting to celebrate as it's breaking the 50 period. You're like, now this dip buy into 400 or at 420, this is now starting to look good. Now I'm happy with it. Not I'm going to get out at the point it's supposed to explode higher. So I'm talking about day traders covering trades more than anything else. A lot of people are winning these slots, and I keep losing, so thank you very much for Stream Deck. I'm just whatever. I'll spin again.
Yeah, it took a quick long there, Neil. I just wanted to probe that kind of like a bit of that buying pressure. I was like, if we're going to continue, I'm going to give it to kind of like this wick that we had right on top of that 430, and I got long in the 430-30s to kind of test that out. You kind of come in, and that pressure does push you all the way down to 430. So I think we're setting up for a nice little potential reason to sell here if we can now make some lower highs. Kind of felt out that bit of pressure there. I like that down into the 430. Now let's see if we can start to turn a little bit here. It seems like that 430 may be holding nicely as well as. Oh, what was that? It was
Go ahead.
Okay, all right. Some news apparently coming in, but yeah, that 430 hold. Let's see how well it holds. I'm looking for that lower high now because it seems like that selling pressure may be pretty decent there as we kind of clock through this. I was looking at this wick. This wick was bought up right here in the 20s on the SPY, and I was like, okay, as we're kind of bleeding off into that level. Can I get into a long and use that wick as a potential area of risk to see if we make higher lows there? So it seems like we are kind of turning here. Got 3 consecutive red candles on the NQ potentially printing. Question I'm asking, as always, is how much time is left to print this 15-minute candle? We got about a full 15 minutes, so we're just about starting this 3rd consecutive candle that's potentially going to be red, but we have printed 2 kind of red candles here on the NQs. So let's see. This is the first 2 consecutive reds since before the open. Since we got that, we've only printed green candles with sure we have a few reds in between, but nothing that's consecutively red. And then you print 2 consecutive reds. Wow. I think that's a good reason to kind of start looking for the short. Now I want to see a little bit of a lower high relative to this 431 top, and maybe some of these constituents start turning as well. I definitely have eyes on Google. We talked about how Google is nice and tame, and can kind of give you that potential information for market direction there. As we kind of push into this 138, Google looking very similar to the NQs there. This 15-minute kind of consecutive reds with a bit of selling off of this 138. So let's see if SPY can give us that little bit of a relief back into that 431 area, maybe potentially a lower high consolidation so we can take it back down for a little bit of a reversion on the day as we've only bid up all day. So yeah, we took a quick scalp there. Let's see going forward if that's going to be the case here. I'm going to be staying pretty vigilant there. Let's go through some of those names here just to give us a feel. I know we took a look at Google right there. Apple started to turn? Nothing really there, Neil. Kind of a bit of a slowdown, bit of a sideways, but still more than enough potential to kind of turn and go back to the upside as well. So let's see if that kind of comes in there. SPY does look a little bit weak. I do have it here at kind of testing, knocking on the door of a previous kind of resistance or support resistance level here, just on top of that, just underneath that 431. And yeah, I'm going to be looking for a potential push 431.5-ish to see if we can get a nice place to short and then maybe risk some of these highs over here on the SPYs. But yeah. Let's see, Google, saying Google tamer, nice, that's pretty funny. Intel.
Isn't it more tame?
What's that?
More tame.
Yeah, yeah, of course. More tame is the word. Tamer is just, I guess, just easier
It's
to
like
say.
because then it's like you're taming Google.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
are the Google
tamer, yeah.
Which I suppose is like that's way more gangster, really.
Well, I don't
That
know.
just
I'm not trying to
basically
tame anything.
It just
right?
means you own the stock, right? Which is impressive because it's Google.
own-
The
yeah.
position board keeps coming on and off. I don't know. Obviously, I see them working on it. So whatever the issue is, I'm not sure. But I'm out of VCNX. It just got back to local high, so I'm done with that one. It doesn't seem to want to go anywhere. You got to be able to take the money and run. Like it's basically telling you that it's 1 to 112, and if it breaks now, fair enough. There was, I mean, what's that? It was ALXO. I'm saying it out loud so I don't screw up the stocks. I do this all the time. Like I'll say AXLO. But this looks a little heavy. I don't know if I want to pay for shorts this late. But see, like the whole price, it ran, failed, tried to break out again, and is failing again, just failed 9. Like typically, I'd be looking to short this, but money fills have been above 9. Now you're only able to give it to like 905 or 906, which isn't that bad, but my guess is locates are pretty pricey. Yeah, but it looks a little bit heavy, just so you guys know. Like that ALXO after the halt to the upside, it's not looking as strong in my opinion, but you know, who knows? Like it could actually still go up, but it's looking very, very weak beneath this $9 level. Like it's a bit of an ask. Not too much buying on the tape for that name. AMD, which is a name that I still think can be now it might be making a lower high here. Rejection of the top, lower high. All right, wet the beak. So again, rejection of the top. There's like your hammer candle, consolidation, lower high, another kind of rejection. Get in. Sometimes I'll yap away and just not actually get into the trade and then finish talking and then hit the execution. You miss a few cents. So I'm going to get in it right now. If this is finally it, the futures have been going sideways for a while now, 1.8% on the NASDAQ. We've already pulled back a little bit on the ES from 1.5%. AMD had not been showing as much strength, so we're now into that. Again, I don't know what's up the position board. I'm still in Rivi into the short, and I have my Roblox long. That's the other position. I'm still in this Roblox because why not? And I know Sean's not here. Long weekend for him, but don't worry. Like always, we're always going to do the market recap show for you. And I can tell you, on a day like today, the topic I want to cover, it's like we could go over things, but what I want to do is like we're trading and we're going over ideas and talking about what you guys want to talk about. But in the aftermarket show, specifically a day like today where there's these big, massive running days and you're like, how can you capture more of it? What are the things that lead to not getting it? That is going to be a major topic that Opie and I are going to discuss. That's what we've been discussing amongst ourselves pretty much all day long. And it's the kind of thing that is really important. So it should be a lot of fun. Stick around. We're not going anywhere. Havana Woody. Dang it, Neil. At least look at PRZO on the imbalance for me. Well, it's only 320. Oh, you want the early look on the imbalance? Let me pull up the stock. What is Prozo doing? Hey, that's not bad. If this is better than, that's better than silly VCNX, wasn't it? See, that broke $1. That was way better than VCNX. You probably were telling me about this. If Havana Woody, if you were mentioning this when we came back on and I ignored you, then that's on me because that was 20% when PRCX was 10%. So that was a better long break, and it just did it. It just retook $1 and gave you the 20s. It's bouncing off it again, and it's actually moving. Volume's only okay. No, I know you guys have been. I remember this from earlier. But like it had died and wasn't doing anything, was under $1. So like I didn't like the dollar push off this earlier. That's why I was trading the other one. But just now it was really good. That's all I'm getting at. But I know you guys were talking about this one. You pick and you choose. Like today, VCNX was on our watch list. That's not necessarily the only reason. But VCNX did a really big liquidity grab underneath the dollar, and it was a little more V-shaped when it came back. So I just kind of like this one better. And it is what it is. Like, that hasn't gone to 120. Whereas if you're really, really patient with PRZO, then you got a better move. This was really violent early. You kind of give up the ghost. It bounces. It reclaims $1 once, gives you 10%. Another liquidity grab, then it gives you 20%. Potato, potato. I think you can either one of them was good. Some are better than the others, is what it is. Quadunk on Netflix. Is Netflix going down? What the heck is going down off of this slight pullback? I don't know if we get to call that a quadunk.
So Apple is ripping to its highs again. It's making new highs, Neil.
Of course it is.
So I kind of I was like, I don't want to fight that short idea on the SPY there. So I did get a little long there on top of that 430. Let's see if Apple pushing towards those highs can give us that. We're looking for that lower high, right? We didn't really make that lower high as of right now, but if Apple wants to push brand new highs in power hour, you definitely don't want to be fighting the short still or fighting for the short still. As take a look at that. I got Apple right here, kind of these wicks kind of messing it up, but I do have it up on another chart right here as well. So take a look at that, kind of some strength there. We were talking about a potential third consecutive red, and we got about 5 to 6 minutes left to print this candle, and we are pushing highs or trying to push highs there on Apple. Let's see where the SPYs go there, kind of ripping to the upside there. Volatility kind of increasing there. So a quick short-term trend that I see on the SPYs is right there. So if shorts are getting in around these levels here for the attempted take back down for a potential reversion, and we break past this level, I think we can get some nice short-term buying pressure coming in as well off of this potential bounce. So if Apple kind of makes those highs, there's Apple with those brand new highs, 1774 coming in. Let's see if we can catch a little bit of a pop here on the SPYs there, a little bit of confluence. Let's see how far Apple can get. I know
say confluence? Oh, it's going up now.
Confluence, yes. So Softy's going up as well. There we go, blasting off. We talked about staying as nimble as possible, and I'm trying to do my best at doing that. And if you see a reason to get long, we try not to make the same mistakes over and over again. This morning, that 14.8 break, that consolidation underneath, sure, getting short underneath that makes sense for a quick scalp. But when you finally distinctly break through that 14.8, oh boy, yeah, you definitely want to get long and don't really want to fight that. So right now, I am watching this. Let's look for that potential lower high. If we do get that, if we're going to kind of start melting up, continuing to push highs on the SPYs, I'm going to be looking for that 431 to come back in and not even a lower high. So going to be feeling it out. We are in the long, so reasons to sell could become into reasons to short as well. That's kind of the transition I'm looking for here, kind of feeling out the long as Apple pushes towards 178 there, Neil. Meta towards 315, and Alpha towards 138.
Like now
Can't stop,
Tesla's
won't stop. Maybe that 330 on Softy is definitely well within the stars, Neil.
Havana Woody, I know you have to filter. I try not to tag you unless it's looking juicy. I appreciate that. You don't have to worry about that. Like, I think when you guys type in, like, oh, have a look at this symbol or that symbol, like, we can pick and choose, man. Like, this is what we're doing here. Like, that's what we're here for. Like, I don't mind if I look at something, I'm like, oh, this isn't really moving. I'm not gonna talk about it. But like, if it's worth it, it doesn't mean I have to trade it or anybody has to trade it. It's just, you know, we're here, and if I'm not actively in something or just managing it, I don't mind looking at just about anything at any particular time. And I get it. Actually, I like it when you guys point out something. Oh, you like this small cap, not that one. This one worked, because then I can compare the two and say, okay, well, I didn't take PRZO and I did take the other one. Looking back on it, should I have made another decision? What possible reason could I have seen that could have told me it was the better trade? Speaking of which, AMD just make another high, so I keep taking these baby, like, just get in, get out, get in, get out. And now I'm back to looking at Tesla, because that's the thing that I thought was strong over 261. So like, why not actually think about the long? That's an interesting idea up there. So if I'm gonna lose on Tesla, at least I wanna lose on Tesla to the long side. But long story short, don't even worry about, don't spam with a bunch of symbols, but if you think something's moving and it looks interesting, then just let us know. We're always into it. We're not taking a request. You guys are not looking my request. I have said OKYO. Just give me a second here. I want to set a stop. I want to get in if Tesla can hold this 261 area. But I like to have a stopping. Is someone messing around with size on Tesla at 261.16? I just punched in front of them instead of trying to take a fill a little bit lower. You said OKYO. That's a pharma name. Yeah, see the volume on this. This is what I mean. Like, I can pull it up, dead, 300,000 shares worth of volume, already passed its move. So like, usually what you're looking for something like this is it's made the run up, it's rejected it. Unfortunately, it's rejected at the same price level with lower highs, which isn't usually a good thing. I don't know what the catalyst would be here. but with the volume as it is, whatever, it's probably died down. You have the 50 and the 200 in support at $2. So the last time this happened, like it basically held on to this line and was able to go again. So all you really care about is this stock going to hold 175? Like that's all I would be doing, because this is probably more of a swing thing, I'm assuming. You're not day trading this because there's no volume in it, probably only when it was doing these moves. So yeah, can it hold on to 175? I was never too complicated when I was trading only small cap stocks. Like I would identify a level and I would trade that level, and if I identified a trend, I would trade that trend. I would just do that over and over again. That's why you see me on these dollar stocks, because I was just a trade. I would just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. It doesn't matter what your alpha is. Just if you have it, you just do it. And if it's not sexy, who cares? You know, the old trading floor manager used to say, man, like you can't, when the money goes in your bank account, nobody can tell what style of trade you were doing on it. Yeah. Which is true. Yeah. Like you make a bunch of money just trading dollar breaks, like who cares? And when it's in your bank account, it looks exactly the same thing as calling the bottom on Tesla, right? So it doesn't really matter what you do. So in this case, like I said, this 175, 180 looks like it's more of a momentum off of it, but not enough volume for a day trade at all on whatever OKYO is. Super SPAC man, bounce left in the cruise lines. I haven't looked at CCL all day long. I have not looked at CCL today. Probably a good thing. I know it's a good thing because I know what my overall thoughts have been about CCL since it did the flat bottom break, so I can pretty much tell you exactly what I would have done. I would have, oh no, it bounced off the 200, but I would have been shorting 13. Oh, maybe it would have been okay. Yeah, actually it wouldn't have been bad because I would have waited till it got to 1350 to short. So it actually wouldn't have been that bad. Yeah. But it looks like this is actually possibly breaking down. This just went red. I'm sitting there trying to fight AMD. CCL is trying to turn red on us going into the close, and I already like that short. The problem with CCL, it doesn't really move all that much at the end of the day, and it's 3:30, so we're going to get the early look on the imbalances. I just heard, say it again? Oh, we're just waiting on the early look for the imbalances. I can have this up so you can see some individual names. They're going to start to populate, so when that happens, I'll let you guys know if I see anything that stands out. Load. Yeah, you're seeing, I mean, Kenview, every day Kenview has an early look imbalance, and then sometimes it comes out. JPM, BAC, the early look is like 700,000 to the sell side. Then you have a Canadian bank to the buy side, who cares? Oh, wow. UAA, sell. CCL is actually a 500,000 early look buy. These are not big numbers, but again, it's just the early look. You don't necessarily know what it's going to actually come out as. 560 million to the sell side. Thank you. Thank you, Javier. I got that from one of the viewers there saying they see 560. I'm just reading what you told me, the source that we have. I'm now seeing it as well. Okay, 564, sell side. We just get it from Financial Juice, and we sort of pass that one along for you. Yeah. I was literally like, okay, give me a reason to sell, give me a reason to sell, give me a reason to sell. I'm repeating that in my head. And then the imbalances come out, that early look. We push right back up. That 178 on Apple comes in, and then 430.80s come in on the SPY. So I'm like, you know what? This is good enough right there for me. Maybe we do get that 431, but no real reasons to sell other than that early look in that imbalance. Kind of if the market's kind of a sell, then I don't want to necessarily stand in the way. Take a look at that bit of a selling pressure coming back in. Off of that, we were looking for that potential lower high as well, and this might be it right here. This next couple of candles gonna be giving us that information. But if Apple wants to kind of continue to blast to the upside, push that 178, then yeah, I think definitely we want to stay a little wary on those shorts. The NQs just clipped some fresh highs, but coming back in and take a look at that, the SPY is definitely making lower high, as we've kind of talked about. There's potential for seeing that. Let's see if that comes into fruition, or this is just the carry forward on the trend on the day right here. That is the dominant. That is one of the dominant trends there, right? So we kind of saw that. We did have a short bias. I was looking for the short, but I was like, hey, listen, if Apple wants to push highs, then who am I to short try to fight the market with the shorts? I want to get long. So again, we're trying to work on this. We're trying to stay as nimble as possible and really have hard defined structure for reasons to buy and reasons to sell, and then actually execute on them real time as quick as we can be, Neil. So Yeah,
We're seeing some of that come into fruition.
That's all you're ever trying to ask for. And we did, someone saying, why don't you talk about AMC? We did. I think actually, we went over this a few times today, but you know, it wasn't really breaking any new levels. The volume's been tapering off. With a squeeze type name, someone was telling me to short the stock, and my answer was just, I didn't really see the short. So it looks to me like it's been breaking out. Well, it's been climbing higher. It's breaking out above 930. Now it's beneath it. And I think if it can hold at 930, then next week you have a chance to maybe fill some of this gap in since the reverse split. Now, the typical pattern on these reverse split names that have gone squeeze mode has been it makes a consolidation bottom, and then if it breaks out, like it doesn't go a little bit, it goes a lot. And then it pulls back in. Like if Mullen can do this, I'm using Mullen as an example because I can confidently pull it up and I know it's going to make the point. Like I know the chart makes the point that I'm trying to make. So it's not, I don't have an obsession with Mullen. It's just I know what the chart looks like off the back of my head. So it makes that reverse split, and it's happened more than once. Like there it is. Catches any kind of a bottom, big rally, makes a bottom, big rally, makes a bottom, big rallies. Consolidation again, maybe it's going to make another one. So AMC hasn't done that. Like it had one lower from this consolidation. It hasn't had like the big rally. So like the notion of shorting it here when it looks like it could be starting that big rally, nah, like I'd rather look for the big rally long sometime early next week. And if you get that, great. And then if it works into this level, that's where you $11 I was saying earlier could be a short. This is like $13.50, $14. That could be a level. And a lot of times for those, you let it break and then come back into the downside. Maybe the catalyst is this Taylor Swift stuff. I don't know. Does it really matter? Who cares what the catalyst is when these things go? It's just, is there one? Is it going? Answer yes. If you find a trade, then make trade. Or if you find a setup, then make the trade. If there's no catalyst and there's no setup, then you don't have to touch it. But you're always on the look for something like this when it is going. Nunya Biz short Levi. You know, we didn't. That's one stock. It actually reported, and we didn't really go over that one. Don't usually day trade Levi's. There were some concerns with, well, this is probably legitimate. The CEO was basically saying some stuff about how the unusually hot summer was bad for jean sales. I guess that makes a lot of sense, actually. It's probably not an excuse. That's actually legitimate, but I don't think that's going away. Nice rejection candle on Levi's. That's about all I will say. This is not much of a day trading stock, not one I've ever traded before. But if you see the liquidity grab, rejected underneath 13, maybe it's the start of a turn, but you know the downward trend's pretty profuse here. Sometimes it's just better to let something like this break. Like it breaks the 50 period and breaks 14, then you might have a run that you're more confident about. Otherwise, you're catching a falling knife. $13 looks pretty good right now, but that could change on Monday. So not an earnings name that we cared too much about. Tesla, man, like can you just go? Like do it or don't do it. You ever seen The Wire? Do it or don't do it. I got places to be. That's what Marlo said. And it's like it's just at that 61, doesn't want to break higher, doesn't want to break lower. You're just getting chopped up in every single move. It's like, 30 cents here, 40 cents there. But there's no continuation in either direction off these levels. So if you're wondering why not putting a million trades on, it's like trying to pick the spot. It works or it doesn't. I think if it's going to go, I like where Tesla's at. It's got room to the top here. It's been relatively strong. It's actually, if you think relatively strong recently, today it's broken that 50. It's kind of what I'm getting at. But it has some room to play some catch up. Where if the market's going to get 2%, like Tesla could easily make one of those late day rallies. The other thing is Tesla, when it rallies late in the day, it tends to be powerful. So it's one of my favorites. Like if it hasn't really gone just yet, if it's the leader or it needs to play catch up, then usually that's a good place for it to be. If it's kind of doing the same thing as everything else, then I don't really want to play it because it doesn't necessarily have that explosion. If you get a chance, can you speak? It's all good. We just ranted on AMC there, Bears versus Bulls, so hopefully that covers it. Sometimes the YouTube chat gets a delay, and then you might want to just hit the refresh or like the live button. That usually helps. But I'm long Tesla. The position board, sorry everybody, the position board keeps on flaking out. Still in Rivian, short off 1880, long Tesla, and I'm still holding on to Roblox, which by the way, Roblox, I am now going to trail this one out. We'll go to Sharif, but this is getting to a spot where I should just be taking the win. It's finally moving again on Roblox. Sharif?
He's speaking right now, making several statements, making remarking about the non-farm payrolls today, saying the job market is very strong. The job report showed tempting wage growth. The latest number is consistent with the existing view of the job market. Number of statements coming out from her, so just keep an eye on the futures.
We will keep an eye on them futures. Almost 2% now on the NASDAQ, which is wild. The reason I said I want to maybe get some out here on Roblox, failed 30.60, lower high failed 30.50. So that's a reason to now say, hey, we're at that 30.50. If you don't hold this consolidation, trail it out underneath here. Wasn't really doing anything. Like, this is a trade. In retrospect, hindsight's always 20/20. But like, if I was going to do something differently, I think maybe just instead of thinking it was going to get to VWAP, if you're just reloading off of this high, 30.25, you could have just been reloading that. And if you're going to stop out, this is something at Max. I was talking to Max today. He had a good day today. Good for Max. Max is still on the floor, everybody. But sometimes if you're going to trail something out that you like to the trend at a certain price, you should be asking yourself whether that's not a place to add. Like, if you're like, this is now no longer valid, the long underneath 30.20, but I still like the long right now, then should it not be worthy of an add? The answer doesn't have to be yes, but it might be yes. And if it is, then that's one that could work out, because if I was reloading it instead of just looking at other things, then it has been working if you've been doing it. And Tesla, yeah, it's just all Z's, man. Like, I'm looking at other things and like what else is going. Obi's been watching Apple. Like, Apple, a little bit better. You know, like 50, what's that? This is like a 30-cent range up at the top of Apple. Microsoft, I'm not really sure what that is doing, but NVIDIA, what's NVIDIA doing? A little bit better. That's a 70-cent range off the top in the last like 25, 30 minutes or so. That's not a lot, but it's a little bit better as well. Rivian's pushing that top. We'll have to get out of it if it breaks the high of the day. That's one of the ones I'm in. But Tesla for the long. Roblox, it's a win, but it's from earlier, so it doesn't really matter. At AL Rock, this is the worst day. If you find you have a frustrating day when like what seems obvious in the morning kind of reverses itself, the best thing you can do if you can't sniff out the long is just to avoid getting burned on the short. I know it's not easy, but that can be part of it. There are sometimes places where it's obvious to join the trend, and we have a good opportunity to, and then other ones where it's incredibly difficult to. That's just par for the course. Like, if you don't, if I didn't get any early longs, like I didn't have any late longs. If I didn't get an early long, then I wasn't in it. Like, if I didn't get Roblox, or like, these are the two things I had long, and I got them kind of at the obvious place to get in. All of the late longs, I couldn't sniff it out. It's not an easy thing to do when you had that early look thinking it was going to be bad. It's still, the number is still 560 to the sell side. So no change on that early look imbalance. The market doesn't seem to care. We're still gliding higher. Yeah. And while we're talking about that, let's go to the desk and take care of some business.
Hey guys, the afternoon rundown brought to you by IG. Trade Forex pairs like the Euro US dollar with spreads as low as 0.8 pips and zero commissions at IG. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, the position board's now just wrong.
That's incorrect.
Rivian's high was 1880, so when my stop ran out of the short, I covered at 1881. I'm not actually in that. I'm in Tesla long and Roblox long. So this is what happens in Tesla, literally nothing. I'm long the consolidation, and I'm in Roblox as well. Like, I'm still in it, still have that trail out. But Meta, you just said Meta 315.
Yep. Shout out to Daryl Finch. I think they mentioned in the chat there, Meta 315. We talked about that 300 bounce. We talked about that 310 level in the morning, and we were like, every time it kind of pops into that 310, it kind of comes back into the 300. But like we said before, a lot of names held strong supports and broke strong resistances today. So that's going to be an interesting look going into next week for sure, as we have some interesting levels to play with and some interesting strength and price action as well. As I hear from the back, machine gun sneezing. Shout out Aaron.
Bless you.
Bless you, my friend. Bless you.
It's always 7.
Is it? So you gotta, Wayner and I, we have a little game where you gotta time it. You gotta time for the last one. You gotta try to get that last. And it's like trying to short the top. You know, you have to get that last one. Let's see.
Oh my goodness,
how well you can
I
get
like
that
that
last
actually.
one. Nice.
I like that trying to short the top. Oh, Roblox just trailed out, so like it's probably, you see now it's saying I'm short Roblox because I just got out of my long, so that's what's happening. Guys, you have to reset the position board because that's kind of, yeah, they're working on it, guys. It's just a little misleading. So this is kind of my chart, there we go. Like that's me getting out of Roblox, trail out on Roblox, stop down in Rivian at the high. So it's not bad. I think the way to do this one better would have been, I missed one reload in here, and then you could have been sort of playing off that consolidation the entire time. Like that would have worked out, but didn't do it. We're looking elsewhere. But it's all about that meta, man. All about meta.
Oh yeah, meta's
like meta was the one. And I just saw that Bears C NOS tweet. So let me just, I'll find Michael Noss's tweet for you because I want to see what he said
selling pressure
there.
coming in.
Go ahead.
So no, some selling pressure kind of coming in. This consolidation, I'm watching this across the board as well. Apple pulling back off that 178. So a bit of a consolidation here sideways going into the close that I'm watching. We did kind of, let's take a look at a shorter time frame here on the NQs. We were making kind of this kind of a flat top, kind of a resistance looking type of thing when we were going sideways. We were talking about those consecutive red candles and we popped back above. But take a look at this. We barely popped 10 points above those highs, and now we're kind of feeling some choppy pressure, some volatility, and kind of some selling to the downside there as well. We got about 15 minutes left here, Neil.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, maybe some profit taking. Where is it at? It hasn't been there all day. So maybe now in the last 15-minute candle, we could see some profit taking as, we've only been printing mainly greens, straight greens to the upside, just how I like it. Yeah, getting us nice and high above that 15 thou, and a bit of a failure to follow through off of a new high break. Let's see how far we can pull back if we pull back.
And 5 minutes to the early looking bounces, 15 minutes till the aftermarket review. But the tweet that I think was being talked about, bears look at this from Michael Noss. This is what he was pointing out here. Market cannot seem to close under a VWAP from the March lows. So that's kind of a little bit bullish. The other thing is just mortgage everything and buy 420 on. I don't know. That's what buy 420 on the SPY.
That was a pretty decent area, I think.
SPY,
right?
I mean, just realistically, I mean, if you think about the way that the market works, just buy every 420 that you see.
It would seem like going forward from now on, since the whole meme craze, we got that kind of sentiment in the market. Going forward, psychological levels are not only halves and wholes, but also 420s.
I mean,
I like it.
80% of the time, it works 100% of the time.
Yep,
that's all I know.
Those are the stats. Those straight stats.
Stats. That's
Stonks.
it's just a fact.
Stats.
You're absolutely right about that margin. 420.69 is an even better price to buy things. I missed. That was. I bought recently Tesla, and just for jokes, I knew I was buying the dip that one. Like it was like a day I knew I was buying the dip that day on my personal account. And it was like right around 222. So I'm like, why would I not put an order at 222.22? Yeah. Like, why wouldn't I do that? Like, it's just,
like
do I really
69 all the way?
Do I really care about 20 cents if I'm going to hold it for the next like 20, 30 years? Doesn't really matter, and it's fun to me. So the next time Tesla comes to the downside, and it is what it is. Let me just pull up the daily chart. So this is a daily. And look, it could get to the 200, maybe it doesn't get to the 200 period moving average, but the new level I was going to like was like 224.69 was going to be one. I don't know if I want to buy it at 242.69 because that's not where I'm looking to buy the dip. Like I'm kind of looking for the liquidity grab in front of the 200 period moving average. So like not up there, but like I want things like down here and down there. But just have fun with it. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Those things really don't matter. I'm just joking when I say that. You should not make financial decisions based on random prices. That's utter nonsense. But if you're, whatever, you're putting a limit order in your personal account, sometimes it doesn't matter. What else we got here? With only 2.5 minutes to go, I don't think I want to do anything new. I'm not in those two positions. Those are my covers. I'm only in Tesla, which is not even doing anything at this particular moment. So I will be very, very patiently waiting for the imbalances to come out in 2 minutes. The market could go either way, but the way I like it is you're consolidating long enough. Tight stop if the long doesn't work. And if it goes the other way, like you hold on to the one that goes, like you're short the SPY. If it breaks, you're probably going to get a great win.
No, I'm if it breaks, it's wrong.
Oh, you're not short?
Still, I'm not short. So that was my sell. So that's where I sold the
okay,
long.
Now I'm confused.
And
okay.
we like we said before, what is it called? The position board is incorrect right now, guys. It's not in that short. But again, that was a great place to sell apparently because we're trading about 40 pennies below that. But I don't want to necessarily get involved if we're just going to chop sideways like this going into the imbalances. About 2 minutes left for those imbalances to come out. I do have a bunch of my imbalance charts, scanners, kind of lists opened up just to see where some of that sentiment, either buy or sell, will come through, and some of the bigger names will definitely be pointing them out as well. So yeah, definitely not in a SPY position right now, not in any positions actually, but we were looking for that lower high, and that lower high did come in, and we used that long, we used that reason to sell to get out of our long. It gives you that price again. I did not get back in at that price. I did see it kind of wipe back up, and I was like, I don't necessarily want to get into this consolidation, but that 40 cents, that 40 penny kind of chop, if you're scalping around that, good on you. I think going into the close, it's kind of similar trading to kind of the opening volatility as well. The last 15 minutes into the close and the first 15 minutes of the open, I think are pretty decent areas to look for opportunities there. And yeah, that 15-150 kind of pushing back as well. Yeah, I think I'm hearing some noises in the back. We're definitely getting ready for the close back there.
Is that what that is?
I mean, I just heard some
Meta 316.
316.
Austin 316.
Wow. Straight
Meta's
to the top.
flying.
Somebody was accumulating 300. Let's be real. Let's call a spade a spade.
Somebody was buying the living crap out of $300.
That 300 was being bought every single day. We talked about this. Look at the chart.
That was the definition. When we get the imbalances, I'm going to give you guys the imbalances. Someone keeps asking what a liquidity grab is. I'm going to show you an example on Meta. But first, Peloton, sell imbalance, 1.3 million. Verizon, does anybody care about Verizon? They're a sell imbalance of 1 million. JPM, 1 million to sell. I see BAC, 900,000 to sell. Intel, nobody cares. Coke, that's early. The overall look is, put it in the chat when you can. What do we got here? Intel, nobody cares about that. Apple, 700,000 to the sell side. Amazon, 700,000 to the sell side. So mostly sells. 3.6 billion to sell.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm punching out of Tesla. Yeah. Anyways, that looks a lot bigger than I would have thought, sort of looking at some of the individual numbers, but overall it is a sell imbalance. It's not going to be much of a hit on Tesla, but I just see a bunch of sell imbalances when you're at highs, and I'm going to say I'm not expecting a breakup anymore. Don't have to trade it, not going to do it, don't have to force it. But I keep getting asked, and it's a good question. We see a lot of trading terms that maybe some people understand or make sense to us and are obvious to us. When we say a liquidity grab, I'm going to draw you a line at $300. That's going to intersect all these bottoms. So if you look underneath this 300 line, the last few days on Meta, it's breaking this line consistently. Just on the 15-minute chart, breaking 300 consistently, and then every time it snaps back up, and we always get to close above it. When you look at the daily chart, it has touched 300 or the 50-period moving average every single day since the end of August. Think about that. No matter where it starts, at some point in the day, it is under 300 or underneath the 50-period moving average in the daily, but it never breaks lower starting from here. Like it never breaks away. It always finds its way back to around that price. That is a liquidity grab. So you can look at it on a low time frame, or you can look at it on a higher time frame. When we get underneath the 50 period, someone has been accumulating shares of Meta, and now they are winning.
Congratulations!
So anyways, that's what liquidity grab is, just like a trading term. And it doesn't necessarily mean someone's driving it down to be able to buy it up. But on the shorter term time frame, like when I see it on like the 300 level on an individual stock, like in a day or in like a couple of days in a week, then I think someone might be doing it. Because if you think about a level like 300, there's so many traders and so many people that put stops around that it's not that difficult. It wouldn't take much money to run stops under 300 when everybody's selling, you're just buying underneath. And then you're making that money, right? So like the person is breaking that stop to get people to sell or have sell orders fired underneath that. Then they're just gobbling up whatever they can. And if it takes them 100,000 shares to sell it or 50,000 shares to break that level, then they're accumulating 3, 4, 5x underneath every single time. And that's something that big traders can do. And that's what we talk about, running stops to go the other way. Like that's what I mean by that. It's a liquidity grab underneath. So they run stops or liquidity grab. Lots of ways that you can say it. But wow, meta. Unbelievable day for them. As we said, the show must go on. Sean's not here. We're still going to do that close, which does mean in a couple of minutes I'm going to get set up at the desk and let Obi close it out. Thanks as always. Obi filling in, for Sean today, doing a fantastic job, and Adara doing the full midday show with Sharif. Fantastic. If you shorted AMD at 350, like if you just waited for 350. For the reversal, when the imbalances came out, can't lose. But I wanted to be sitting in the trade for when it worked instead of just waiting for the imbalances to come out and then get the reversal.
Yeah, so we talked about that reasons to sell. I was like, give me a reason to sell, give me a reason to sell. Definitely a great place to sell there underneath that 431. As we're printing a whole point below that 430 now, 430.80s kind of 429.80s printing right now. Here, that 15.1 kind of coming in as well on the NQs. So yeah, we kind of I guess we missed that trade. I was focused a little bit here on some of these imbalances across the board. Again, Intel, Apple, and Softy kind of the leaders there. Okay, we just got a little bit of an update. We get that update at 55, right, Neil? So we're gonna be the big one. Yeah, exactly. That's gonna be the one to really put things into perspective right there. Definitely some juicy imbalances for sure today. But that 431 area on the SPYs, definitely strong reasons to sell. And I'm getting a little bit of FOMO here because I even called it out. I was like, I'm waiting for that lower high. We got that lower high underneath that 431. We had reasons to sell that got us out of our long. But where is the short? Only on the position board, that's obviously incorrect. But yeah.
This whole time I thought you had that
position. I thought I had it as well. I was like, well, that's a great place to sell. I should be selling there. Maybe the position board is speaking to me. But yeah, no, but a point in the money.
Another not reason to take a trade.
Yeah, exactly. That's next level fugazi on that. But yeah, bit of a sell-off there off the market, the early look we got, and then the actual imbalance is also coming in as pretty strong sells.
Yeah, nothing big at 355 there.
Yeah, nothing too crazy there. A lot of things just pair and don't do too much as I'm taking a look here on some of these names. So, how about this? In the chat, why don't you guys let us know what you guys have traded today? We only got about 4 minutes left till we move over to the ending day recap.
Well, I'm moving over now.
Right? Neil's going to be moving over right now.
I'll see you guys at the desk.
We will see you guys in a few minutes, but I'll still be here. I'll be closing off the show with you guys. So yeah, we know some. Let's do a quick recap of the day. We know that a lot of these names were straight to the upside, no real relief. Today was the trend day. If you have been working on a trend following strategy, today was the day to put that to work. And yeah, didn't break any moving averages, only reasons to buy as we continue to get, and absolutely no real significant reasons to sell unless you just had price targets at certain levels. But The only thing I saw was consistent bidding, higher highs and higher lows. All of these candles kind of strongly getting bid up. If you pull up almost any chart across the board, you're going to see a similar story there. So yeah, the SPY is kind of pulling back in, and let's take a look quickly at those market leaders. People talking about some of the names that they traded. RKLB, Rocket Labs. Sure, we can take a look at RKLB. Now that's not a name I haven't heard in a while, but RKLB, let's see what that did today. Okay, interesting. Some nice little chop there. So you probably kept it tight, and we're pretty heavy on this if you made money on that. RKLB, AMC, and of course Tesla. Yes, sir. Who's okay? Christopher Bell. That's who I'm reading right there. Gotta acknowledge whose comments I am reading. So yeah, Tesla, of course, but AMC as well, kind of bouncing off of this $8 area, showing itself yesterday as the support. We got a strong sell, and then today we break those as well. Tesla. I don't need to talk too much about Tesla. We know what Tesla did. Tesla comes right in. 250 bounce, take a look at that, doesn't even get there, 251, kind of this consolidation on this run up, and then you kind of continue all the way up, looking left, this resistance. We are talking about Tesla, don't forget, we kind of pointed this out on Tesla, that dominant trend, we are right underneath it, so it's interesting to me that the market will blast up and some of these things will make highs and break weekly highs, but Tesla, interesting, that 262, 261, you can't even push past that. That's very interesting to me. So going forward next week, I'm going to be watching this 262 area to see if that resistance stays as strong as it has shown us to be there. Chill Vibes saying, went long Microsoft. The market didn't care about the news. Just follow the trend. Easy money. Yes, sir. Chill Vibes. Definitely the trend was your friend today. And Softy, straight blasting to the upside. We talked about that 315. Again, quick recap. That 315 into that 327, that 321, kind of that resistance from earlier. 322 shows itself as well. We had a couple entries on that. Kind of switched the bias into the long and kind of pushed above. And 327, 328. We talked about that 330 potentially, but maybe we'll have to wait next week for that. But yeah, SQQ saying Kevin Mendoza. Yeah, for sure. The SQs definitely to the downside. So if you wanted to hit the short, the SQs were the place to be today. As I was involved with the TQs, again, the TQs, great little dip buy that we had off of that. But with less than 20 seconds left on the bell, we got a Dara. All right, so yeah, we're gonna give. I don't have the thing for the countdown. I don't know where it is. Oh, actually, right there. As we got about 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, guys. Thank you for spending your trading day with us. I'd like to thank everybody, thank our production team, and thanks to Sean for giving me this opportunity for filling in for him today. Hope he has a great weekend. Thank you to Neil, always learning some great things here, and I hope you guys learned something today as well. Again, things to do, things not to do, lots of value in the show, right? We took some good trades, we took some bad trades. We had some crazy chop on that GM. That was pretty wild as well. But with that, I will leave you guys. I hope you guys have a good weekend, but don't go anywhere because we're about to transition over to the after show.
Oh my goodness.